Hello, my name is TJ Perry, and my research project is on the topic of teaching literacy to special education students with severe disabilities. In regards to teaching literacy to students with severe disabilities, it has several challenges that most general education teachers do not comprehend. Students with severe disabilities are identified with a severe and profound intellectual disability called SIDPID. These students have significantly below average physical, sensory, intellectual, and social interpersonal performance deficits. There are various influences and factors in determining how to deliver instruction on literacy to these students. The purpose of this study is to examine how special education teachers' beliefs and contexts influence their literacy decisions for secondary students with severe disabilities. These decisions would encompass instructional strategies for their learning styles, meaningful learning resources, and their opinions on whether or not these students can actually learn literacy correctly. The following research questions are the two principal questions employed in this study. Number one, how do special education teachers of students with severe disabilities feel about their students' capability in acquiring literacy skills despite their disabilities? And number two, are sufficient resources available for educators to utilize in literacy instruction for students with severe disabilities, and how are they used with these students? Grounded theory and multiple case study methodologies were incorporated to guide the design, data collection, and analysis of this qualitative study. The intent of a grounded theory study is to move beyond description and to generate or discover a theory, an abstract analytical schema, of a process or action or interaction. This was cited from Cresswell in 2007. Case study research involves the study of an issue explored through one or more cases within a bounded system. The participants used in this research were either interviewees or students who were observed. 7 educators were interviewed after being contacted by the researcher asking their permission to question them. All interviews were conducted over the telephone during June of 2015. The interview participants included 2 special education high school paraprofessionals, 3 special education middle school teachers, and 2 special education high school administrators. All participants were from Title I schools in the Cobb County School District. The research process began in April 2015 with the classroom observation and continued through June 2015 with the interviews. The researcher conducted a formal observation of a high school special education class of students with severe disabilities. Next, 7 familiar educators with special education experience were questioned individually. Lastly, data from the interviews, observation, and lesson planning document were analyzed and compared to other literature covering similar research. Data was collected via interviews, lesson plans, and an observation. A lesson plan was identified and analyzed for structure, effectiveness, and level of anticipated rigor with those intellectually disabled students. The researcher also conducted a voluntary summative walkthrough and formal observation of this class for teacher evaluation purposes. The code book outlines the common themes from the findings of the research data. The first code, High Expectations, refers to any effort to set the same high educational standards for all students in a class or a school. The next code, Necessary Resources for Teaching Literacy, refers to resources used to improve students' capabilities to learn literacy and to monitor their assimilation of information. The next code, Instructional Support for Teaching Literacy, refers to a wide variety of instructional methods, educational services, or school or district resources provided to help students accelerate their learning progress, particularly in literacy. The next code, Literacy Learning Capability, which refers to the ability to recognize and understand ideas conveyed through visible actions or images. The next code, Self-affirmation towards learning, refers to expressing a positive attitude towards yourself as a result of learning and acquiring pertinent knowledge. Based on the researcher's observation and review of the instructor's lesson planning document, the actions during the class time indicated the teacher planned properly for literacy instruction by observing her instructional strategies. Also, statistical data was taken from one of the interview questions, which read, "What reading level would an 8th grader with a severe disability generally be on?" This was the only question utilized for quantitative purposes because the responses were not open-ended. The participants had to choose one of the three responses. So, which would you choose? Well, if you chose A, you are in agreement with the majority. Based on the data from the code book and interviews, it is apparent that educators in special education believe there are not sufficient resources readily available, and they also believe there is not enough training or professional development on how to properly teach literacy to students with severe disabilities. Gathering information from these students' IEPs would give more insight about their learning level for reading, writing, and comprehension. Also, it would be beneficial to interview teachers from non-Title I schools or even private schools. Also, an assessment could be given to the students to capture real data. Their results would then be compared to how the teacher predicted them. In conclusion, students with severe disabilities should be taught literacy because they can learn literacy.